Here we're going to use the table of integrals to evaluate the following integral. The following integral is x times the sine of x squared times the cosine of 3x squared times dx. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do substitution. What we're going to let u equal is x squared. And therefore du is going to equal 2x dx. And then if we divide both sides by 2, we would know that 1/2 du is going to equal x dx. So therefore there is our substitution. And then we also know that if we wanted to solve for x, if x squared is equal to u, if we take the square root of both sides, then x is going to equal the square root of u. So let's just go ahead and then solve here. So we know that we have x, or the sine of x squared, times the cosine of 3x squared dx. So, and we also have the x dx. So times x dx. So let's go ahead and put our substitution. We know that x squared is u, so we have the sine of u times the cosine of 3u times x dx, which is 1/2 du. Okay, so now let's factor out the 1/2, and then we're going to multiply that by the integral of the sine of u times the cosine of 3u du. Okay, so when we want to look at the table of integrals, you can see here that we have the sine of the constant a times u times the cosine of the constant b times u du. So that's what we're looking at, is number 81, and then we're going to use that form. Okay, so before we do that, let's go ahead and then write down our formula. And so using that, we know that the value of a is equal to 1. The value of b is equal to 3. So using this form, we have 1/2 times a negative cosine of a, which is 1, minus b, which is 3, times u. Well, we know that u is equal to x squared over 2 times a, which is 1, minus b, which is 3, minus the cosine of a plus b, which is 1 plus 3, times u, which is x squared, over 2 times a plus b, and that is plus c. Okay, now let's go ahead and simplify a little further. So we have 1/2 times negative cosine of negative 2 x squared over 2 times negative 2 minus the cosine of 4x squared over 2 times 4 plus c. Okay, so now let's go ahead and distribute. Well, let's go ahead and clear some signs here. So we have 1/2 times the cosine of 2x squared, and the reason why that is the case is because if you recall that the cosine of negative x is going to equal the cosine of positive x, and that's because the reflection is the same. The cosine is an even function, so we can say that that's positive. So therefore we have the cosine of 2x squared over 4, positive 4, minus the cosine of 4x squared over 8 plus c. And so now all we got to do is now distribute the 1/2 to both terms. So we get the following. We get 1 over 2 times 4, which is 8, times the cosine of 2x squared, minus 1/2 times 1/8 is going to give us 1 over 16, times the cosine of 4x squared plus c.